وهذا حديث مكتوب فيه. اوكي، بسم الله. الرحيم. وعن عبادة بن سامت أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: خير الكفن حلة وخير الأضحية الكبش والأقرن. رواه أبو داود ورواه الترمذي وابن ماجه عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه. اوكي، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. وعن عبادة بن الصامت عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: خير الكفن الحلة وخير الأضحية الكبش الأقرن. رواه أبو داود والترمذي وابن ماجه عن أبي أمامة. Narrate the authority of Ubadat ibn Samit, and he in turn narrates from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, the best kafan, al-hulla, just for the timing here, I will explain to you exactly what hulla means. But normally hulla means like a set, right? And the best udhiyah is al-kabsh al-akram, is a horned sheep, right? Rawaw Abu Dawud narrates this. ورواه أبو داود and Imam Tirmidhi has the same riwayat in it, and Ibn Majah have this riwayat from Abi Umamata. So our riwayat is from here, from Abi Ubadah ibn Samit, but Ibn Majah's riwayat from Abu Umama. So mashallah, people are doing this kitab. You can go and check it up sometimes just for an exercise. Go see if you can find this riwayat, the same riwayat in Ibn Majah. So hulla normally, like literally, refers to a suit, or maybe not a suit, maybe not a suit is not the right word, or even suit is the right word, but what it more means like a set. Like you normally when you got the top and the pants, they matched, and you call it a set, or we call it a set or a suit, so to say. So in this context, what is meant here is this: that the best kafan is where the cloths are all of the same color. And then some hadith suggests that the best color is white. You understand what I'm saying? So where the lifafa is one color, the qamis is one color, the izar is one color. So yes, if there is a shortage of cloth, sometimes Allah Ta'ala protect. There's no cloth, Allah Ta'ala protect. Sometimes there's mass death, whatever, etc. And then you just use what you can, and that's a different situation. That's a different scenario. That's obviously extenuating circumstances, right? And then also, although we said sunnat, one another meaning could also be that the sunnat is to have the full three, the fafa, izar, and qamis. But when there isn't availability of the full set, then you can also suffice with just two. So it means you just suffice with two, you understood? Which is adana, you understood what I'm saying? Which we'll call it kafne kifaya. Kafne kifaya is the lowest darja of the sunnat. So the highest form of sunnat is to have three, and the lowest form is to have two. You understood that of the sunnat? Okay, read the next riwayat. وعن ابن
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لفضل أحد أن ينزع عنهم الحديد والجلود وأن يدفنوا بدمائهم وثيابهم
بدمائهم.
رواه أبو داود وابن ماجه.
Right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Narrated in the authority of Ibn Abbas, he said that Rasulullah instructed with regards to qatla. Qatla is a jama of qatil, ne? With regards to the deceased of Uhud, or the killed of Uhud. Ayunza'a anhumul hadid, that day. Hadid means basically metal, so in this context, what would it mean? Did the metal be removed from them? What would it mean, Luqman? Did the metal be removed from them? Or the armory be removed from them? Well, julud, and julud normally is referred to skin, but in this case, context, it means like the extra clothes over and above the normal, like what your, like how we say your jacket or your jubba or your waistcoat, whatever. وَيُدْفَنُوا بِدِمَائِهِمْ, and they be buried with their blood, وَثِيَابِهِمْ, and their clothes. Rawah Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawud, and Ibn Majah narrates this particularly, right? Now, if you remember that you went to Uhud, Luqman, I'm sure you went to Uhud. There next to the masjid is a designated qabr and it's closed. Now, interesting thing is these people were buried on the actual battlefield originally. Then I can't remember. Can you remember the history? Help me out. It was later on. There was some floods or something. Long after that, if anybody know the history, they can help us with the history. Long after that, then the bodies were coming to the surface. Yeah, this ultimate sacrifice, and that is to sacrifice their wealth and their lives and everything, the path of Allah Ta'ala. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wanted him to be resurrected like this on Qiyamah Day as a proof, as a hujjah for the sacrifice, that the blood dripping from them, etc., etc. All right, there is the next riwayat. أن عبد الرحمن بن أوف أتي. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. When Sa'd ibn Ibrahim narrated Sa'd ibn Ibrahim and Abihi, and he in turn narrates from his father, and Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Utiya bi ta'amin, it was brought. Atabi means to bring, he brought, and Utiya, it was brought, right? Bi ta'amin, was brought to him some food, right? Wakana Sa'iman, while he was fasting, so for iftar was brought to him, right? Carry on. Right. Right. So he said, Abdul Rahman bin Auf, he said, قتل مصعب بن عمير وهو خير مني. Mus'ab bin Umair was killed when he was better than me. كفنا, he was buried في بردة, in such a cloth. Carry on. That if it was so short, if in غطي رأسه بدت رجلاه, if his head was covered, بدت رجلاه, his feet would be exposed. And if his feet was covered, his head would be exposed. So the Rawi is saying, وَأُرَاهُ, and I think as Sa'ad ibn Abdurrahman bin Auf also mentioned this here, that as Hamza radiallahu ta'ala was killed, and he was also better than me. Then it was opened up for us. Busita, basata, it was spread out for us from the dunya, what was spread out. So actually, we can say, ma busita is a name file of busita, ne? It was opened up for us. It was blessed for us, which was blessed for us, right? So we were given from the dunya what we were given. وَلَقَدْ خَشِيَ وَلَقَدْ خَشِينَا حَسَنَاتُنَا, and we feared that our good deeds has been hastened towards us. And then he began crying until he left the food. Rawah al-Bukhari, Imam Bukhari narrated this riwayat. What do you understand from this riwayat? I give you a minute. Just tell me, what do you understand from this riwayat here? Look at the sharas and see if you can work out, you can unravel. If the online people know, they can tell me, what do you understand from this riwayat here? Okay. Right. So good, mashallah. So firstly, obviously, the relevance of the hadith to the chapter is quite obvious. That is about a certain Sahaba Ikram when they passed away. Although we discussed, like we told you, mentioned earlier, the sunnat kafan is lifafa, izar, qamis, etc., etc. But when there isn't, then you will do with what you have. You will just do with what you have, right? So that is the relevance of the hadith of the chapter. Well, what actually being said in the hadith, as you pointed out, that Abdurrahman bin Auf was a very, very wealthy Sahab. It was mentioned when his trade caravan would leave Egypt. By the time the first camel reached Medina to Munawwara, the last camel will still be leaving Egypt. So many camels you have, so much wealth. They say if you calculate wealth, even in today's day and age, the richest person's wealth won't equal to his wealth. But what had happened is, yes, in the initial stage of Islam, things were very, very difficult. And Nabi Sallallahu would always tell us, that you make sacrifice, you will be rewarded in the akhirat, etc., etc., right? So then once the futuhat started taking place, all the different conquests started taking place, and when the Islam started prospering, so the Sahaba Ikram, they were accustomed to austerity. They were accustomed to this belief and this notion that our reward for our sacrifice will come in the akhirat. That, like, الدنيا خلقت لكم وأنتم خلقتم الآخرة. That الدنيا خلقت لكم, you've been created for the dunya وأنتم خلقتم الآخرة, but the dunya has been created for you, but you've been created for the akhirah. So they were programmed in a certain way by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were programmed in a certain way by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that, look here, that the kuffar, they will enjoy the dunya, and you people will sacrifice to make ala'i kalimatillah, so that the word of Allah Ta'ala remains supreme on this dunya. So that was their mindset. That was their mindset that we are for the akhirat. Right? We will get our reward in the akhirat. Because they were constantly programmed. Whenever they experienced difficulties, Nabi Sallallahu would reassure them, look here, don't worry about the difficulty you're experiencing. You will be compensated. You will be rewarded in the akhirat, etc., etc. So this was how they were programmed, and this was their mindset. You understand what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, when all the ease came, etc., 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 they started feeling guilty that if we're going to start enjoying the things of the dunya, then what is going to happen to all our sacrifices? Are we reaping the rewards of our sacrifice in the dunya? And as a result of that, we're going to lose out in the akhirat. You understand what I'm saying? So they felt guilty about enjoying the things of the dunya, lest it would compromise the rewards for the earlier sacrifices, right? Unless it will compromise their reward in the akhirat for the earlier sacrifices. Are you with me? So hence he thought about, just give this hence he thought about the sacrifices of his companions, that they didn't even have enough to eat, they didn't even have enough cloth to cover them, etc., 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 right? And So he was, can say he was riddled or ridden with guilt to such an extent that he decided to give up the food. He lost his appetite. Abdurrahman bin Auf, I told you, he was a great Sahabi. He was actually from amongst the Ashara Mubashara. So when he remembered about his poor companions, the great sacrifices they made for the Akhirat, etc., and then he looked at the tasty food that was brought before him, he was afraid that this must not compromise his Akhirah. As he mentioned about the great sacrifice of Hamza radiallahu ta'ala, that he didn't have enough kafan. Remember, Mus'ab bin Umair was a famous Sahabi that loved a very luxurious life as a young man. He was the son of a very wealthy and opulent uh, family, but he sacrificed all of that for deen. All right, okay, read the next riwayat.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أبين بعدما أدخل حفرته فأمر به فأخرج فوضعه على ركبتيه فنفث فيه من ريقه كسبه قميصه قال وكان كساء عباسا قميصا متفق عليه.
Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن جابر قال أتى رسول الله صلى فأمر به, then he instructed, فأخرج, he was removed, فوضع على ركبتيه, and he was placed upon his shoulders, فنفث فيه من ريقه, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he blew some spit into him, فنفث فيه من ريقه وألبسه قميصه, and he made him wear his قميص, وقال كان كعباس قميصا, and he said that he gave his shirt was Abbas radiallahu ta'ala to win, muttafaqun alayh, and this was a muttafaq alayh riwayat. So 3 things. Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, he was a Ra'isul Munafiqeen. He was the Ra'isul Munafiqeen. And he was a avowed and sworn enemy of Islam. So when he passed away, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam done this ihsan to him. He gave him his shirt to wear, and he put some of his saliva, etc., by him, etc. So what was the reason why Nabi sallallahu showed ihsan on him? One is that at the Battle of Badr, it is mentioned that as Abbas, the uncle of Nabi sallallahu was also a big sized person, right? And Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salih was also big size. When as Abbas didn't have a upper garment, then Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salih was still from among the ranks of the Muslims at that time because he was a munafiq, right? So he gave his cloth to the uncle of Nabi sallallahu. That's so to pay back the favor. That was one. Number 2, his son was also a good Muslim. So you want to show kindness. And then also another thing is mentioned here, that after Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed so much kindness to Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, many of the munafiqeen, they truly accepted Islam after that. They truly accepted Islam after that. So now if you're sharp, you already tell me now, but isn't Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ, that we are not supposed to attend the janazas of the non-Muslims, and we're not supposed to pray. You can't pray for a non-Muslim. If a Muslim, non-Muslim is alive, you can still pray for him. You can make dua for his hidayat, you can make dua for his shifa, etc., etc. But once a person passes away as a non-Muslim, you can't make dua for him, isn't it? You can't make dua for him. So the answer there will be pretty simple. That this was before this was revealed. This was before the prohibition had come. وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ. But the correct and the final view is that if a person dies on kufr, you cannot attend their janazah. This is a bit of a complicated masaf for those people, reverts, that have family. So normally we tell them, look, you can't tell the janazah, but you can't attend the janazah, but what you can do is you can go the day before, you can go the day after, you can take some cakes, you can take some biscuits, etc. You can express your condolences, etc. But you can't be part of any of the religious ceremonies, because obviously those religious ceremonies entail shirk, etc. Right? This is quite clear and emphatic in the Quran. وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَى أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ. No, because the religious ceremony is going to take place. So you go the day before, you go the day after, you just express your condolences. I'm sorry about what happened. You can take biscuits, you can take cake, whatever, but you can't attend the actual funeral, right? Because the Quran says, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَى أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا. Do not pray on any of them with pass wherever. وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَى قَبْرِ, and not stand at their qabr. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that chapter. Allah Ta'ala accept it. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of our forgiveness. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of our najat, our salvation. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of shifa for all those who are ill. Allah Ta'ala to the barakat of the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. اللهم إنا نسألك بحرمة نبينا وبحرمة كلام نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم أن ترزقنا الشفاء شفاء لا يغادر سقما. Okay, we read the next hadith inshallah. Next chapter. Okay, before it is Babul Mashi al Janazah, chapter with regards to walking with the Janazah. Here, the author mentioned actually in this chapter, going forward from here, there's going to be over 145 hadith. It's going to be what? Over 145 hadith. And the hadith will relate to taking the janazah with ease, comfort, tranquility, not rushing with the janazah, hastening the burial, not delaying unnecessarily, keeping the body by the house. Whether you should stand up for the janazah, the way you should pray the janazah salah, where you should perform the janazah namaz in the masjid, out of the masjid, where the imam of the janazah salah should stand, how you should praise the deceased, from what age will you start performing the janazah? In other words, if it's like just a miscarriage or something, the method of making dua for the deceased, and all these type of masail. Also in this chapter it will come that it is better to walk with the janazah, especially if the place you're taking the janazah to from the house is a close distance, it is close proximity. Whether you should walk in front of the janazah, or whether you should walk behind the janazah, it's better to walk behind. What is the position of the janazah namaz? It is faraz kifaya. Certain conditions with regards to the janazah namaz, that you'll only make janazah salah if a person is Muslim. Taharat is a shart for janazah namaz. That when performing janazah namaz, the body will be put in front. And then the other famous masla also is whether there is janazah al-ghaib in the Hanafi madhab. That is the ikhtilafi masla. Okay, so all of these things will be discussed in the forthcoming abwab, all guidances, hidayat, with regards to these following aspects. Read the next hadith. Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, narrating the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that Rasulullah
Please change page.
Somebody saying something?
Please change the page.
Change place, please, Mafia. If the page is not changed, please remind us. Don't feel shy to say change the page. Sometimes we forget. So if it's not the right page, please don't feel shy. The ladies, if they don't want to speak, obviously they won't. Yeah. It's also nice that Hassan was the janaza. He good person and good you are sending him towards. And if he has, in other words, the reason to say openly, if it was person, it was shy away from mentioning it, right? وإنه وعليك decided فشر, then this is in رقابكم, you are removing it, you are placing it from your necks. متفق عليه, متفق عليه رواية. Okay, two, three things here what I want to mention. So see from the hadith we learn something that the soul immediately goes up to the heavens. Now we done that hadith in the previous, but then the soul comes back to the body, and especially when the body is in the grave, right? And then that questioning, etc., between the soul and the grave, right? And then that questioning takes place, etc. And obviously, if this person is successful in his answers, Allah Ta'ala make us from amongst them, then now this person will be left to rest. And a window from Jannah will be opened, etc., etc. And it will be bliss upon bliss. It will be eternal bliss. Allah Ta'ala make us from among those people that will experience that eternal bliss, right? So, what that hadith is saying is that you must hasten with the burial. You must hasten with the burial. Do not unnecessarily delay. Why? Because if this person was a good person, right, then why deprive him from the fruits of his labor? Why deprive him from the fruit of his labor? Why deprive him from let him go and enjoy? And if he wasn't a good person, he was a evil person. So we'll say like we say manahus, he was a bad luck person. Then why keep him? Let him go and meet his fate. Why keep him amongst you, right? Um, so as far as possible, you should hasten. But sometimes there are some regulatory issues. Alhamdulillah, here in South Africa, we don't really have problem. You know, it's third world countries or things, but I know like in the first world countries like England, UK, America, there's a lot of protocol and all that type of thing. Some places they want you must do some places, especially maybe if a person passed away under suspect circumstances, dubious circumstances, they want to do autopsy. They want to do some places. But I know I see on the chats, the ulama chats, there in UK, they actually want to do an X-ray under certain circumstance of the deceased, of the chest and etc. to see why the person passed away. It's okay, that is circumstances beyond your control. But if once the janaza is ready, then you should hasten with the janaza to such an extent that ulama mentioned, Moulana Ashraf Ali Tanwi mentions, that even if like if a person passed away on a Friday, you shouldn't even wait until the Jummah namaz in anticipation. Okay, Jummah time, there will be a lot of people, so we'll have a big janaza, etc., etc. No, you shouldn't even worry to do that. You shouldn't even worry to do that. You should, when the janaza is ready, bury it in. There's more reward in that. There's more reward in burying immediately, right? It's mentioned also that they say that a pious person even says that, like he says, but you don't hear that. Why are you people holding me back? Let me go, let me go, let me go to enjoy, right? And like Allah Ta'ala protect us. An evil person say, where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? Like how it will come in the forthcoming hadith. The author of this kitab, he mentioned something interesting here. If you want to accept it, you can accept it. If you don't want to accept it, you don't have to accept it. But it's mentioned here in the kitab here. It's mentioned in the Shara. I don't compel you to accept it, but if you want to accept it, you can accept it. He says there's an incident that he personally heard about, that a pious person passed away in Karachi, and then the body was ready. The body was ready, but they delayed the janazah for 5 hours. They for a relative to come. Listen nicely. They delayed the janazah for 5 hours for a relative to come. And okay, after the relative came, they buried this person, whatever. Then this deceased was also alim of deen. He appeared in a dream of another alim. And he said that, what is wrong with you people? You people disturbed me. You delayed me by 5 hours. I wanted to go and rest. I wanted to go and rest in Barzakh. I wanted to enjoy my ni'mat. You people, you delayed me for 5 hours. 5 hours you delayed me from my rest time. 5 hours you delayed me from my rest time. It's mentioned here in the Shara incident that happened in Pakistan. As I said, you want to believe it, you can believe it. If you don't want to believe it, you say, no, it's nonsense. Okay, I won't compel you to believe it. But anyway, this is mentioned here. But anyway, normally these stories that go inside with the usul of Sharia, you accept it because it is part of the Sharia that you must hasten. So it doesn't go against the Sharia. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why when somebody tells you about a dream or somebody tells you about kashf or something like that, as long as it is in keeping with the usul of Sharia, then you can believe it because it's clearly it's in keeping with the hadith. Asri'u bil janazati. Hasten, right? فَإِن تَكُ صَالِحَةً, if it's a good person, فَخَيْرٌ تُقَدِّمُونَهُ, then it's goodness you advancing him towards it. Okay, read one more before Moulana come.
وضعت الجنازة منها الرجال فإن كانت صالحة فأخذوه وإن كانت غير صالحة فأخذوها يا ويلها حين تذهبونها فيها يسمع صوت كل شيء إلا الإنسان ولو سمع الإنسان لصعق.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأنا أبي سعيد قال قال الرسول إذا وضعت الجنازة رأينا أثارتها فأبو سعيد said رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم when the جنازة is placed in the جنازة فاحتمل لها الرجال على أعناقهم, and then the men they carry the جنازة on their neck. فإن كان صالحة, if he's a pious person, قالت فقدموني, send me forward on the go. وإن كانت غير صالحة, but if this wasn't a pious person, قالت لأهلي, said يا ويلها, أو أين تذهبون بها? Where are you taking me? Why are you taking me? يسمع صوتها كل شيء, lament and the cry of these people except the insan. ولو سمع الإنسان لصيقة, if insan has to hear this, لصيقة, he will fall down dead unconscious. رواه البخاري, Imam Bukhari narrates this particular riwayat. Okay, we stop, the time is up. Next period now is what? On Nazim, what is doing? Abu Dawud Shareef now. Bas, subhanallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا الله.